When you go to a casino, when you go to the roulette table, do you bet it all on, say, the number 21? There are 36 numbers on a roulette wheel, plus 0 and double 0, depending on the casino. So 37, 38 numbers on the roulette wheel. Do you take your stack of chips, maybe $1,000, maybe $10,000, and do you bet it all on the number 21? Do you just put it there like a big tower, like a big phallic symbol of how big balled you actually are? Is that how you go to the roulette table? No, of course not. Of course you don't do that. That'd be idiotic, yeah? Because the odds are, what, 38 to 1 against. Yeah, those are the odds if you bet it all on, say, 21 or 23 or whatever arbitrary number you can think of. If you bet it all on a single number on the roulette table, the odds are astronomically high that you will lose. You will lose it all. All the money that you brought to the table, you'll lose it just like that on the single bet. Do you do that? No, of course not. Of course you don't do that. Just like, for instance, when you applied to college, did you apply to the one college? Huh? No, of course not. You applied to 5, 10, 20. I applied, actually, back in the day, I applied to something like 22. Yeah, I had like a whole thing spread out of all the schools I was applying to, the top tier schools and the mid tier schools and the bottom tier schools, safety schools, right? And yeah, I applied to like 24, I think. But my point, my obvious point, see, you don't bet it all on the one thing. And of course, the corollary to this is that the more schools you apply to, the more likely it is that you'll get accepted to one. The more numbers on the roulette wheel that you bet on, the more likely it is that you'll win. The more girls you talk to, the more likely you'll find one that wants to fuck you. Yeah, because that's what we're talking about here. I mean, this is Coach Red Pill channel. What the fuck you think I'm gonna be talking about? You know, like fucking betting and fucking college admissions? Fuck that. No, women. The more women you approach, the more likely it is that you will succeed. The more women you try to convince to get into bed, the more likely it is that you wind up fucking somebody. If you go after the one girl or two girls, you're not going to succeed. And this should be so goddamn obvious, but men are foolish in this regard. And they're foolish in a way that makes complete evolutionary sense. See, because we men, we're hunters. We go and pursue something specific. When we were developing over 3.5 million years in the African savannah or wherever it was that we developed, because there was some issue on that, but when we were out hunting, what did we do? We'd spot some antelope, some woolly mammoth, and decide, that's the one, we're gonna get that one. And our ancestors would trek through the savannah for days sometimes, chasing that specific antelope. Did you know that part of the reason of human beings' evolutionary success is this ability to basically chase something for hours and hours on end? Most animals can't run a marathon. Not horses, not any herd animal you can think of, let alone cheetahs or hunters. They can sprint, but only human beings can maintain a consistent pace for hours on end. That's how we evolved. We evolved to chase a prey for hours and hours, days if necessary, until we finally caught it. And we'd catch it after this relentless pursuit of that one object, that one antelope, that one single solitary woolly mammoth, or that girl. You see the conundrum that we have, and it's built into us. Because we see some girl that we like and we decide, that's the one, I'm gonna chase her. And all the others, they're just gonna fall by the wayside, just as our ancestors would chase the one antelope or the one woolly mammoth and discard all the others because they figure that's the one we have to pursue. And they'd pursue it, we pursue that girl, we pursue her relentlessly, and what happens? What are the odds? The odds are pretty slim that we'll succeed, of course. Because what happens also, again from evolution, in the past, women didn't have that many mating opportunities. Of course not. They'd be in some small tribe or whatever. Maybe there were one or two guys. And so if one guy was relentlessly pursuing her, he'd probably get her. Because she didn't have that many more mating opportunities. But today, in our contemporary society, in our technologically advanced civilization, a woman has an endless variety of men from which to choose from. And because of it, you can be choosing one girl and going after her relentlessly, but she's going to have so many other options. So many other guys are going to be going for her that she'll pick one that she fancies, and you'll be left high and dry. In the manosphere, people call it one-itis. But you have to understand the sources of it. It's not enough to just simply posit it and say that that's how guys are, or some guys are, or say, oh, just losers are like that. No. It's not losers. It's normal. It's normal for men. That's how we are built. Some men are fortunate enough to adapt and realize this simple lesson. Women are a game of numbers. And frankly, most of life is a game of numbers. You pursue anything in life, whatsoever it is, your business, your career, educational opportunities, whatever. The more numbers you try after, the more you try, rather than focus on the one opportunity, but multiple opportunities, the more likely it is that you'll succeed. And this is a truism of life, but it goes counter to how we have evolved as men. Like I said, we focus on the one thing. That's how guys are. And this quality is exceptionally good at certain tasks. For instance, when you really want to figure something out, when men want to figure something out and really get to the bottom of it, we focus relentlessly until we come up with the answer. That's why scientists tend to be men, because women's priorities are different. Women's natural proclivity is to be sociable. And so they're much more interested in social interaction than focusing on one thing, all autistic, all single-minded and focused, and go all the way to the bottom. Guys are great at this because that's how we evolved. And because of this incredible ability to focus and just grind down to the very bottom of something and figure it out, we have the technological civilization that we have. Every single bit of technology is because of this wonderful ability that men have, that women do not have. And that's why women are less successful than men in STEM fields, no matter what kind of social engineering they're trying to achieve. It's because of how we are built, or rather how we evolve. But the point remains, see, this is how we are as men. And therefore we have to work with what we've got and understand where we can fail. We fail when we decide to focus on one target. You have to grow up and realize that this inbuilt ability that you have that is so useful in so many aspects can be extraordinarily detrimental, not just to women, not simply in the pursuit of women, not just because you focus on the one girl instead of looking at all the possibilities and playing as many numbers as possible. No. It happens also in work opportunities. It happens in all kinds of career choices that you make, that you focus on the one thing. Because we guys are fantastic in this notion of sort of like imagining if we succeed at one thing and creating all these mental scenarios and therefore pursuing that one thing. And we're great at that, but because of it, we sort of like blind ourselves to all the other possibilities around us. And that's something that we have to avoid. Or not properly avoid this, but rather understand where we're coming from, evolutionarily speaking. Understand how we are built. This is something that you have to understand about who you are. This ability to focus on one thing, on one target, is incredibly useful when used properly. When you use it to pursue women, when you use it at the gambling table, when you use it insofar as life opportunities, going to college, career choices, whatnot, focusing on the one outcome and ignoring all the others is a huge mistake. Don't fall for it. Be smart. Women are a game of numbers. Roulette is a game of numbers. Life is a game of numbers. Understand this. You understand this, and you'll succeed. Because see, you're not going to wind up with the one that you thought you wanted, but many times, if you play the numbers, play as many numbers as possible, you'll wind up with an outcome which is actually better than what you imagined. Thanks so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you enjoy my content, please check out the links below to my Patreon channel, where I do an extra video every week and a call-in broadcast every Sunday, and also my GL channel. Also, the other social media places that I post are down there too. So go check them out, please. And once again, thank you very much for listening, and I'll catch you next time.